Hi there. So welcome to week 2. This week, I'm going to give you a brief overview of what you need to do this week, and we're going to talk about the schedule for just a minute. So stay tuned on all of that. One of the things, our topic for this week is crowdsourcing ethics. So you have to think, what is crowdsourcing? You're probably already familiar with it. For example, if you go to Amazon and you want to buy a new thing, like you're buying a book or a whatever, Amazon sells everything, right? I don't know about you, but I always go look at the reviews. I like to see what other people who have purchased that item have to say about that item. That's crowdsourcing. I'm asking the crowd what they think. Sometimes you might throw a question out there. Hey, everybody, where do you want to go for lunch? And you've got a group of people. That's crowdsourcing information. So what we're going to do is we're going to crowdsource some ideas about ethics and what some of the big topics are and what might be interesting to dig into and look at, because we have a week on our schedule that you may or may not have noticed that says student choice. And the student choice week is exactly that. You guys pick, or class choice it says. You guys are going to pick what the topic is. That means we need to start looking at different topics. Now, we won't pick something clearly that's already on the calendar, but it might be interesting just to look into it, just to have some ideas when we get to those weeks anyhow, because we're covering all kinds of things. Let me jump over to the calendar. Let me do a screen share. I'll jump over to the calendar. Let's talk about that for just a minute. So on the class schedule, which you can find in the important information section of the class of Moodle, go to that place, you'll see a class schedule link. Anyhow, that brings up the class schedule, and every week it has our topics, and it has the blue weeks. The blue weeks are the ones where we're going to do Zoom, and it says sign up in Discord. So just like for the meet and greet sessions, I'll put together times and put them in Discord. Now I'm still parsing through all of the times that got submitted, all of the availabilities that got submitted on the student info surveys. So if you didn't do that, I think everybody did. But if you didn't do that, you need to get that in right away. Otherwise, you don't have a say in what the times are. And I'll probably set up 2 different times during the week. And all you'll have to do is pick one of them. They'll be very similar, and we'll try to balance it out. If we've got 20 people that want to sign up for one time and 5 for the other, then we got to balance that out a little bit. In Discord, I'll set a limit as to the number of people that can sign up, and it'll probably be about 12 or 13. And it'll put you on a wait list after that. But unless you absolutely positively can't do the other time, then my suggestion is you sign up for the other one, because I will be asking people to balance that out. It'll make for more interesting conversations. And I'll give you a little hint on the one in week 3. We're going to play a game, and the game's called Trial by Trolley. And if you haven't seen that game, it's really fun and interesting and kind of weird to play online, but we'll give it a try anyhow. I've done it before. We have a lot of fun with it, and it really sets up this idea of how do you make an ethical decision. But we'll get to that next week. That'll be something we'll do next week. So going down the list, you'll see all these different topics that we have, and class choice is down here at the bottom. And I need to, it says decided by March 31st. So we'll kind of decide what the topic is up here. Now, one of the things that's coming up, if you've read the schedule, is this idea of a white paper project. We'll get into more detail on that next week, and we'll talk about that in Zoom a little bit next week. But the idea is you'll pick 2 of these topics. So any of the 2 that you find most interesting. And because we don't have a textbook, you'll help write the textbook, so to speak. And so you'll come up, and there's a format that you can submit it in. You'll come up with something and submit it to the class the day before that topic. So if you were doing it on artificial intelligence, your white paper would be due March 6th. If you were doing it on the digital divide, your white paper would be due April 3rd. That way it's available for us to use throughout the week as a resource. So that's turned into a really good piece of the project, because one of the outcomes for the class is that you can discuss some of these issues in depth. And so that will give you the opportunity to do that. But like I said, we'll get into a lot more detail next week on what that all looks like. So let's jump over to Moodle, and I'll show you what the week is and what we're going to do. So you'll see now that there's a week 2 open, and you probably have poked around this ethics and technology, which is good because that's going to come into play for one of the assignments this week. And when you open this up, I will say that it's always better, at least the first time, to access Moodle in a web browser on your computer. The mobile version displays things differently, and you may actually miss some of the information here because of the way that the mobile version displays it. And so look at it on a laptop first. Probably a tablet might be okay in a web browser on a tablet, but really try to look at it on a computer. It'll give you a whole lot more. Well, all of it's still there. You just have to look harder for it. And I don't want you to have to look hard. Anyhow, so we're going to talk about this idea, crowdsourcing ethics, and start thinking about what's an ethical response and how do we do that? And how do we define that? This is all what we're going to get going. So it says, start with the what are we doing this week video. That's this video. And so that'll be right here in this spot because I'm making it right now. So it can't actually be there in that spot. So I break the week into 3 things: think, learn, and do. The think article this week is really interesting, actually. This video, don't just watch the video. I copied the actual article from the page here. And if you go down, it's not very long. It's got some big headings. And the original source is down here at the bottom because, you know, that's the ethical thing to do. But I think this video will give you something to think about. Like, why do we even care about studying ethics? That's a good place to start, right? This next one, the learn section, will come into play for the assignment. There's actually a TED Talk playlist. So you're going to go to the TED playlist. I think there's like 9 or 10 videos there that just have to do with new tech, new ethics, because sometimes this technology brings up issues nobody ever thought about before. So I'd like you to watch, I don't know, 2 or 3 of those TED Talks just to start putting, you can watch them all if you want, but just to start putting some ideas in your head. Now this final section, the do section, this is the hands-on application. And so this is where the crowdsourcing part comes in. And what your job is you're going to go look for issues, okay? And if you go down here to the investigate section, I give you some places to start. There's the new tech, new morals playlist that we were just talking about. These are all places to go start looking. What are the big issues? What are people talking about right now? Try to find stuff that's fairly current. You know, well, I'm not going to say I know a lot of the issues, but I'm curious to see what I almost gave away a couple. I'm curious to see what you all come up with. So make note of some ideas. My recommendation, create a Google Doc, start taking notes. Don't try to type stuff directly into Discord. First of all, if you lose it, that's frustrating because you got to think of it all over. But if you type it into a Google Doc first, then you can organize things. And that's what you're going to want to do. So you're going to go through, you're going to look for ethical issues related to computers and cybersecurity, any of those topics we have on our schedule, any other topics you think might be interesting. And you're going to identify 3 major issues related to ethics and tech, okay? So in your notes, you list the issue, you give a short description, like a summary, and an impact, like what is it and who does it impact, and then include a resource for more information. So it's just a real short, you know, couple of sentences, right? Here's what it is, here's what the resource is, here's, you know, the information. And then out of those 3, I want you to pick the one you think is the most interesting to you and look for a case study. So a real life application. And I can tell you that that ethics and technology folder has all kinds of sites that have lots of case studies. So that's a good place to poke around and see what's up. Anyhow, so you're going to find a case study. So for that one out of the 3, include the case study link. So on the crowdsourcing ethics channel, which you'll now see in Discord under the CIS50 category, you create a new post, outline, you know, what you found, include your information. What I want you to make sure to do, however, is Discord gives you a 2,000 character limit, I think. It's pretty big, but it's not big enough to write like a 10-page paper. And I don't want you to write a 10-page paper. I want you to get used to writing things clearly and concisely so we can get to the point, all right? And so if you need more space, type up your, whatever you're gonna type in your post, use all the Discord formatting that hopefully you learned about last week, bold headings, include a tag at the top that kind of gives your topic, okay? A tag is a couple of words in bold at the very beginning of your post, so it's easy to scan down the list and see what maybe put your crowdsourcing topic there. That'd probably be a good thing to do. Or your case study topic, the one you thought was the most interesting, just a couple of words about it. And then type in whatever you're going to type in or copy it in. Hit enter. And then if you need more space, create a thread to your original post. Okay, don't create a thread first because then it's just blank and nobody knows what it is. Create your post first and then create the thread to the post. And any discussion that happens on your post, I want to have happen in the thread. That will help us keep everything organized. So instead of having like 100 different posts to look at, we might have 20 or 25 threads. And then you can decide which ones you want to comment on or, see what's interesting on those. So that's what you're going to do. And it'll take a little bit of practice. And I might ask you, hey, can you put that in the thread? And I'll delete your response. Okay, so I'll give you a warning and then I'll delete your response. So if you want to have that show up, please use the threads. So that's what we have on deck this week. It doesn't sound like a lot of work, but I think it'll be interesting. And I think as you start going through the technology and ethics options and seeing what's available, there's just so many interesting issues. That's why I love this class. So super looking forward to what you come up with. Keep an eye out for Discord times. I'm going to try to get those to you by midweek. I'm going to be traveling again. So I'm going to try to get those to you before I go. And have a good time with all that.